Welcome to the DFS Express podcast, your stop for daily fantasy sports talk, including slate breakdowns and industry commentary. Let's go to the host of our show, the Daily Fantasy Sniper.
What's up, everybody? Back with you for another NFL scouting report as we head into week 12 of the 2019 season. Going to do a quick rundown of each game, plays I'm like, and just kind of get your research started as we head into Sunday. Before we get into that, as always, guys, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you are watching or listening. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button as well, and like and comment. Appreciate all of that. And then you can find the podcast DFS Express, iTunes, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Check out all those. Give it a subscribe, like if it's there. Appreciate all the support. You can follow me on Twitter at sniper_DFS. Let's get to the games. First up, Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Total on this game, Tampa Bay. The total on this game is 51. Atlanta is a 4.5 point favorite at home in this one. And we have to see what happens with Devonta Freeman, if he's going to be in or out. Brian Hill put up a giant dud last week. He was chalk, but it's chalk 8, and that really let me down because a lot of strong lineups with the Brian Hill snowflake in there. That being said, the Tampa Bay, I don't have to worry about it too much, I don't think, because the Tampa Bay defense gets shredded through the air. They give up the most fantasy points to quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends. Load up everybody here. I'm going to have Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage in the sites where he's still cheap. He's a good play. 3.9 on DK, 5.3 on FanDuel. I'm hoping Austin Hooper comes back. If he does, that downgrades Gage a little bit for me. If he is back, play him, obviously, and if he's not, then Gage gets a slight bump up, and I'll just roll out a bunch of receivers with Matt Ryan. So one of the best matchups on the board in a good total game. On the other side, with that game script, the receivers for Tampa Bay also in play. You got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, kind of a toss-up each and every week, it seems like, figuring out who to play there. If I had to lean towards one of them, I lean towards Chris Godwin in this matchup. He's also, I think, a little bit cheaper at 7.2 on DraftKings. Mike Evans, it's not much, a couple hundred on both sites. But give me Chris Godwin here. Can also play Jameis Winston. Not as thrilled about it in cash games, but for GPPs, you can stack this game up. The air is the way to go. Miami at Cleveland. Total in this game is currently sitting at 44.5. Cleveland is a huge favorite, 10.5. It's weird to see the Browns as a 10.5 point favorite, but they are, because Miami is just that terrible. That being said, they've just not had a good season. It has Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry. Again, I don't like him for this matchup either, although you can attack Miami wherever you want. I probably, like most people, just going to stick to Nick Chubb in this one. Is priced up, 1,000 on both sites. Do you want to pay that, or do you want to just go up and get some of the super studs? Pay up for your Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara, guys like that. Chubb is in play, especially on the slate, where typically I want to try and pay up running back just in general for your cash builds. We'll talk about some of the other options as we move on, but Chubb is up there in terms of the stud running backs. Miami, attacking this team is just rough. Fitzpatrick is 5,000 on DraftKings. If you're into that, you want to pay way down. But it's got nobody to throw to. Kalen Ballage got a decent matchup against the Browns on the ground, but look, I can't trust anybody in Miami, especially on the road here. Just no thanks unless you want to get cute in GPPs, but not for me. The New York Giants at the Chicago Bears. I wish my bookie had things lined up the same way as we're looking at the games in DraftKings. but they don't. So I'll just continue to stall for a second. I'm not actually seeing this game on here. So I'm assuming there's a bunch of injury news, and I'm trying to scroll through my head real quick. Mitchell Trubisky would be the news. And I had a hard time thinking of that. If you're thinking, why am I listening to this podcast? The guy who's drawing a blank is because he kind of got injured, had a hip injury, but didn't really look injured and got pulled. It was bizarre. So I guess that's why the line isn't out on this one. Regardless, funky matchup. The Bears just not a good offense, even though you can get at the Giants. I just with this Bears offense just in disarray. I have no problem targeting the Giants defense, as they're probably going to be cheap on the road, a little risky, but if they're cheap enough, definitely worth a look here. And if you want to attack with anyone on the Bears, I just can't get behind it. I was going to say Allen Robinson, but he's just too expensive. Bears are a fade for me, regardless who's at quarterback. Giant side of the ball, Saquon Barkley's been a giant disappointment this season, but he's in a good matchup here. He should play. I think he's pretty much over that ankle injury. I'm just scrolling real quick. But had another down week last week. He's just not getting the touches we expect, and he's like 8,000. But the Bears are a good matchup here. I don't mind Saquon in GPPs. I think the horrible season he's having, he could go under own. Like I said, a good matchup here. On paper, the best matchup on the board is Evan Ingram. One of the better scoring tight ends in the league. Bears can be attacked again, but by the tight end. But Evan Ingram did not practice on Monday, so I've got to keep an eye out for him, see if he is going to be on the field. But if he is, I think he is worth a look there. All right, should be a high-scoring game up next. Carolina at New Orleans. Line on this game, New Orleans. New Orleans is a 9.5-point favorite. 47 total in this game. Kyle Allen just looked terrible last week. He's not looked good for a while. That being said, in a high-score game, he's 5.2K. Everyone's off of him. Don't hate it as a really deep GPP play. I might have some shares of Carolina just because I think no one else is going to. It is risky. Where everyone will have shares is Christian McCaffrey. Not a good matchup on paper, but the dude's been matchup proof at this point. He's priced, I think, to the algorithms max on both sites. Go ahead and roll him out in cash games. It should be pretty safe. He's their whole offense. In terms of, you could look at DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel. DJ Moore's just been consistent. New Orleans, even with Kyle Allen throwing him the ball, New Orleans will give up points to receivers just getting those shootout type games. Like I said, I don't know if I want to go there and cash this week on the road, but like I said, I'm going to have some what I think will be sneaky Panther stacks this week. The other side of this game, the same side of the game, will be chalky. I'm going to jump on the Kamara bandwagon this week. I know he scored 20-something last week. I think this is a really good matchup for him. Same with Michael. It's a good matchup for the entire New Orleans team. I will say I like the prospect of paying up for Alvin Kamara more than I do Michael Thomas this week. Michael Thomas is 9.3K. It's just on DraftKings. Just paying up for a receiver always sketches me out a little bit, even somebody who's playing as well as Michael Thomas is, probably in the MVP conversation this year. But I really like the matchup for Alvin Kamara. I think the Panthers are going to try and take away Michael Thomas. So we'll see what happens there. But again, the Saints will be chalky, which makes me not want to game stack them. Because I think people will go that route. And like I said, Alvin Kamara is actually my favorite play on the Saints side. All right, moving on. Denver at Buffalo, what just looks on paper to be a barn burner for fantasy. 37-point total. Bills are a 4-point favorite. Oh, man. I would have a little bit of interest in the Broncos running backs if they didn't split everything down the middle. Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. Lean towards Lindsay. They're actually both getting about the same amount of targets this year. Lindsay is getting some more runs. Price wise, I just looked at Lindsay real quick. We pull up Freeman, cheaper on DraftKings. I think they're about the same on FanDuel. So that means Freeman's DraftKings play for me. Lindsay more on FanDuel. Don't mind it here, but again, both defenses obviously playing just a really low total game. Denver, really good defense. Not going to go against the. Even though they're on the road, I'm going to play some of them, and I'm not going to be looking to get cute with the Bills anywhere. They are most likely a full fade for me. Detroit at Washington. Detroit is a 3.5 point favorite in this game, 42.5 total. Stack up Detroit. Look at the pricing. Jeff Driscoll is 5.5K on DraftKings. Put up 19 and 27 DK points. Sign me up. That's my first look. My knee-jerk reaction to a cash quarterback. Probably going to be super chalky. I think this will be chalk I eat. I will have some Lions stacks. Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola, all in play. Not so much looking at the tight end there. Not a fan of Hawkinson. But yeah, mix and match the receivers and the quarterback Driscoll in this one. Driscoll and 5.5K on DraftKings. Way too cheap. FanDuel 7.3, priced up a little more there. So might want to look other places, but DK Driscoll, knee-jerk, way to go there. And a team stack situation, as I mentioned. Oakland at the New York Jets. Oakland is a 3-point favorite, 46.5 total in this game. I've been picking on the Jets secondary, but unfortunately, who do you want to do that with here for the Raiders? So really on the road, do I want to go towards Tyrell Williams? Yes. He's the most viable guy, but he's pulling down receptions, targets. He's actually had a decent game last time out, but not as good as he was at the start of the season. But a good matchup here. He's probably the one-off I'm looking at in this lineup. Zay Jones, 3.4K on DraftKings, but he's not getting a lot of targets. That's because they're feeding Josh Jacobs, who Jets still have a decent run defense. I'm not sure I'm clamoring at the bit to play Josh Jacobs, especially at his price. Not a pass catching back. So probably looking away from him and looking at a couple of these receivers. I almost forgot to mention Darren Waller. The Jets have been good against defending tight ends, but Waller's a different animal. So I take back what I said. If I'm going to attack the Jets secondary in this one, it will be through Waller, who's getting more of the targets. Decent price on DraftKings and FanDuel. Probably my favorite target on the Oakland side of the ball. Looking over at the Jets, it's funny, there's a bad fantasy offense against a bad fantasy defense. So where do you want to look at this one? Sam Darnold looked great last week. The media here in New York as he turned in the corner. I'm not going to get crazy. Playing better as of late. Maybe just getting them over the mono. You could go there, but if you want to play some Jets, I don't hate it. They're at home. Raiders are not a good fantasy defense. Darnold's playing better. They're on a bit of a roll. The prices are down. Darnold's in the 5s. Robbie Anderson's 4.8. Demaryius Thomas 3.8. As I'm clicking on these prices, as you can tell, I do the first look. It really is my first look. I take it back. You know what? I'm going to target some Jets. I'm looking, it's warm, trying to get sneaky in terms of stacks. What stacks are people not expecting to go off? We'll see how chalky the Jets are as the week goes on. I can't think they are. I'm a Jets fan. They're terrible. I've been picking on them. On paper, it looks like a pretty good spot here, and the prices are down. So, I'll have some Jets in GPP, and even just the price just really jumped out at me. Demaryius Thomas under 4 on DraftKings. Jamison Crowder is the one who's priced up, as he should be. Scored the last 3 weeks, mid 6s, but Yeah, those GPP targets of Anderson Thomas were really interesting. So GPP team are my New York Jets, so be careful with that because they are my team, so probably some bias there. Um, Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Pittsburgh in this one is how big is it? 6.5 point favorite, 39 total. I'm just kind of taking everything in because Bengals suck. Steelers aren't any good either. It's a rivalry game. You got Mason Rudolph at quarterback. God, Jalen. I mean, let's see who the running back is going to be. James Conner participated in practice, just pulled up. So he would be who I'm looking at in this game to pick apart the Bengals. That'll probably be the first place I go. I would like to take the quarterback from Steelers, but yeah, I can't get behind it. Connor, if he plays, is a go. Samuels, I've not been high on what I've seen from him. You can play him if you want, but he's a little too pricey now. Bengals, bad, but a lot of injuries at the receiver position. So we got to look at AJ Green. Austin Tate is banged up. So we'll see who starts. I mean, Alex Eckerson could be playing wide receiver too. I don't know if I want to punt down. I mean, he's not a full punt because he's gotten some targets, but I think the third guy is, we pulled up, Stanley Morgan is would be next in line at min price, but I'm not positive. Check on the injury news. You could punt someone at wide receiver if you get the chance. Obviously, against the Bengals, the opposing defense is always in play, so go ahead and look at Pittsburgh in that one. Seattle at Philadelphia. The line might not be out in this one. It is. It is. Philadelphia is a 1 point favorite. I know we're still waiting to hear on final news on Tyler Lockett. And that's really where you want to pick on Philadelphia. If Lockett is out, I'm really going to like DK Metcalf and Josh Gordon. Philadelphia, decent defense. I'll have the receivers from Seattle as a one-off. Not too interested in Russell Wilson at his price this week. For Philadelphia, really it's mostly just the tight ends here. Tight end Zach. I know Dallas Goedert is getting receptions and catching touchdowns, but it's all about Zach Ertz to me. I think Ertz is the mix and match play here. I want to see how this game looks after the injury reports. Close game at Philadelphia. Zach Ertz will be up there with Darren Waller. Is probably my favorite tight end play of the slate. I think I prefer Waller a little bit, but Ertz in play. Jacksonville. That's right, we only have 2 4 o'clock games next week. It seems a little weird. Yeah, that's what it says here, which will be odd for the turbo slate, which I usually like. Jacksonville at Tennessee. Jacksonville is the underdog in this one. Tennessee, the 3 point favorites. 2 games in the late slate in this one, projecting to be an ugly one. 41.5 total. Yeah, I don't see anything jumping out here that really interests me. I mean, Derrick Henry. You got everyone prefers pass catching backs. I'm the same way. Also, just it's not scoring well recently. Although, actually, I take that back. Last week put up a monster game against the Chiefs. Before that, he struggled a little bit against Tampa Bay. We expect him to eat a little bit. But yeah, just all through the ground. You can get it at Jacksonville a little bit. In the late slate, definitely, obviously, he's gonna be in play. We still got to talk about Dallas though and the Patriots. But yeah, go ahead and play some Derrick Henry. Delaney Walker is just too hard, too injured, too much uncertainty for me to have to just play Waller or Ertz. So yeah, Derrick Henry from Tennessee's my favorite play there. In the game though, it's on the Jacksonville side. The receivers, DJ Chark had a big game last week. I think D.D. Westbrook is always a little undervalued, but he's getting targets, just not putting up huge games. So probably a GPP play there. DJ Chark, probably the cash play in the bunch. 6.4K is a pretty good price for someone getting a ton of volumes. Nick Foles has looked decent as of late. You can play him. I say as of late, just started last week, but going to start again next week. So yeah, I don't mind Nick Foles. It's actually 5.4K on DraftKings. And Driscoll's a better play for me, but I don't hate Jacksonville in this one. Problem is the Tennessee defense decent, and Jacksonville on the road, temper my expectations a little bit, but they are in play. Last game for the scouting report, Jacksonville just did that game. Way to go. Dallas at New England. Dallas is a 6.5 point underdog. Game is 45.5 point total. Dallas coming off a great performance last week, but we all know the Patriot defense is real good, and I kind of think they're going to want to make a statement here. As much as Dak Prescott and Zeke and Amari Cooper, those guys have been showing out, and they have decent prices this week because of the matchup. That New England defense is for real. Bill Belichick, as much as I hate him because I'm a Jet fan, defensive genius, knows what he's doing clearly. I think they're going to try and shut down Zeke. If anyone's going to have any success, I think it will be Amari Cooper and Randall Cobb. But take that for what it's worth. It's just kind of, if you want to get real cute, I don't want to attack this Patriot defense. So I'll be staying mostly away from Dallas. On the New England side of the ball, the problem is as running back by committee, I want to play the running backs from New England, but who knows who's going to get the work? Michelle, Burkhead, White. I lean towards starting Michelle, especially on DraftKings. He's priced down. FanDuel, he's like mid-range because he doesn't catch passes, and James White's a little bit more expensive on DK. So I'm going to say James White's the play on DK, and Sony Michel on FanDuel, kind of conventional wisdom, the pass catching back on one side, the runner on the other. And that is where you would typically look to attack Dallas is on the ground. So I'll be mixing and matching the running backs in that game. I hope you enjoyed the Week 12 scouting report. Leave any feedback in the comments. Hit me on Twitter at sniper_DFS. Like I said, please, guys, subscribe. Trying to get to 300 subscribers by the end of the year. Good luck in your contest. See you next time.